Hello and welcome to the skating lesson. I'm Dave Lees.
And I'm Jonathan Byer. Hi, Dave.
Hi, this is This and That, where we are going to discuss everything with the 2019 ISU Grand Prix Final and Junior Grand Prix Final. And Jonathan is, so if you are new here, subscribe below, smash that like button, and let us know in the comments. We are giving you the best internet connection we have. We've had Jonathan running around his hotel. So Jonathan, where are you? What's happening?
I'm in Hong Kong where like internet goes to die, and I'm in a loud lobby and everyone's going to be screaming from below and the internet connection is going to be spotty. Hashtag worth it because I love figure skating.
You know what? It's better than it was in your room. They moved rooms. He was in a room before. You know, this is just the struggle of an opera singer, okay?
I'll tell you what. It's a daily struggle, Dave. People don't understand the lengths I go through to even watch the damn Grand Prix, let alone film a recap about it. It's tremendous.
And then Jonathan was like, should we film on Monday? And I was like, no. You're like, we're going to be jet lagged. The people are going to be peopling. Like, They want to know what you think.
Exactly.
Even if the internet connection is not, he is going through effort, people. I put on photos on our Instagram. So I'm sure people are going to like be offering tech help. Let's discuss. There's a lot happening.
I'll take it. Although I'm leaving, so it's fine. Now, Dave, I would like to commend you on your very dramatic ice dance shirt.
Thank you.
This is like, you could be competing for Russia at any moment now. This is very tremendous.
Russia. Are you? How dare you?
How I don't know.
Frickin' dare you? This is a shirt. It is fabulous. I saw it. I knew it was a Dave Lee sweater for a holiday festive. I thought it's going to be like my Christmas party sweater. I thought I'd wear it to the final for festivities. It was a lot of fun. A lot of drama.
Good.
In fact, we had a skating viewing party with, I've been taking lessons with Freddie Boudet because I want to look like John Misha Petchkovich on the ice. And
amazing. Vintage reference. I like it. Yeah.
Yes. So, yeah, I'm just saying, wearing a little razzmatazz for the final. You have a Dave Lee's turtleneck on. It's all good, people, okay?
We're all good. Here's a gym that I've not gone to once while I've been in Hong Kong.
It's okay.
We're doing great.
You did high kicks. We saw it, Jonathan, in your Instagram
I
story.
did. To the Merry Widow, which was actually last skated by the Italian ice dance team.
Look at you! Okay.
Yeah, see, how about that? Okay.
All right, so let's discuss. There's a lot to discuss. We can start with the ISU awards, about how they had...
we were worried about Satoko's. Schindler's List. Little did we know the ISU awards were coming out. Dear Lord.
When Satoko used the Jewish star on the back of her costume, it was clearly in the Paul Wiley homage-ish way. Although
it's always about intent. I believe it's about intent. Yeah.
But it was too far for, time. Things have changed over time. What is culturally acceptable, like what is not. Schindler's List, you have to remember Schindler's List is a simulacrum. It's not the Holocaust itself. It's a film representation of that. So you're getting layers removed of an artistic, right? But there's a whole conversation. It's, I don't know if Schindler's List programs honestly will survive in the future. Although I don't know if any figure skating program with gunshots will also survive. Like, where's that group talking, you know?
Right.
I mean, is it going to be Averbuk and Atari's group doing like, what's the name? The Sandy Hook school shooting in Connecticut? Like, there's a million things that they would love to do. Atari brings us Oklahoma City. I mean, come on, there's all these things that could be happening.
She was there, y'all. She was there.
All right. So I think that, there was a very offensive costume. It was half soldier, half Auschwitz prison garb, which is like all levels of, are you trying to say that there are two sides to every story? Like, what does that costume even mean? Like,
whatever it is, and even no matter how noble their intent, it certainly wasn't worthy of an ISU Best Costume Award.
I think that there's, outside of Russia, there's always the extent that the Russians sometimes exploit the these programs for easy drama. Like, Satoko's really giving you like kind of the overview about like making a point about like pain and human suffering, and then people are like, well, she's from Japan and they were and then you're like, okay, we are going way too and
the minute we start to devise that way, we're in trouble. But yeah,
there's one person who's been sending me tons of messages. She doesn't even like Jason's because he thinks he's giving hunger pains. And I'm like, how do you know he's not having pains of the expression and time? Like, this is really, we're moving into an era where I just don't think that Schindler's List will have a moment.
Is Carmen only to be skated by gypsies? I don't know.
Well,
I don't know.
Jonathan,
you know what I mean?
People were upset about Chock's snake charmer dance. Now you're talking about Carmen. We got a lot of messages about Carmen in the juniors. Well, I'm like, well, they're 18 and 20.
The junior ice dance.
Why?
Yeah.
What was that a thing about? The fact that they were junior skating. Carmen, Annabelle Morozov skated to it when she was 5, okay? Now we're going to be upset. Everyone's done Carmen throughout all of skating history, but now we're all offended. Okay?
Everybody, calm it. Everybody just take
Annabelle
a deep breath.
Morozov skated in the juvenile ladies to Why Don't You Do Me Right. Jessica Rabbit. She looked fabulous, okay?
Trusova did big spenders. Spend a little time on me. Like, come on.
How about the ice
Do you
dancers?
remember that?
You know what? And then if we're going to talk about Holocaust programs, I didn't even get to my point about the ISU. I'm going off on a tangent. But, like, how come no one ever, like, the Schindler's List programs, they at least try to be, often, many of them try to be thoughtful. No one ever gets upset about the cabaret programs, right? Where it's like they just bring the sex and they don't, like, get the whole, like, there's a darkness coming, complicity, no one's standing up, everyone is ignoring.
How many Rising Sun programs have we seen? House of the Rising Sun programs by junior ladies. I mean, come on. When are we selectively caring about the content?
People do selectively care. They're like, oh, cabaret, fabulous, Bob Fosse. You're like, no. So
much darker than everything else you're talking about. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, there was Ann Jensen was telling me that there was an ice dance team that skated to If You Could See Her Through My Eyes, and they did edit out the punchline of she wouldn't look Jewish at all, but still completely not afternoon, not kitchen table talk for brunch, okay? Like, just not.
Yeah. Well, we were sitting next to Ann Jensen at that Nationals in 2014 when an ice dance team was skating to Make 'Em Laugh, and on the Make 'Em Laugh, the girl was like spread-legged and like the guy was like twirling her around. It was a pretty unfortunate experience. This happens. It happens in skating all the time.
When did they do? There was a team at that ice dance, and I was trying to look it up. 2014 Nationals that they did Hava Nagila, or they did Schindler's List, and then they did it with like a dancing.
And they did Hava Nagila.
Oh, so Anne said, it's the Holocaust. Let's dance. That was her, like, basically how inappropriate.
Let's break it down.
But anyway, so the ISU nominated Anton Shelepov's costume, which was half soldier, half prisoner, completely offensive in honestly, the Ilyinik and Katsalapov. I was going to do a video about this, one of my little news, mini docs. But I think that Schindler's List requires like a way big deeper dive that I didn't have time for this week. Like, we have to.
Yes, correct.
Really, I'm not.
Priorities.
This is not like a cheap thrills. We need to really break it down because what were Ilyinik and Katsalapov? What was that story when they won Junior Ice Dance in 2010? She gets shot in the head at the end.
Twisted. Yeah, it was not fluffy. That's for sure. Yeah.
We can sell it to everyone's rabbi. Like, we can give it to them. They could give their Anyway. So, now, did the ISU nominate him out of incompetence? Did they nominate him with the photo to get a lot of media attention? Did they suddenly become, like, genius in devious ways? Because it got them tons of articles. No one was caring about this stupid awards that, like, there's going to be a jury, a fan vote. Who gives a shit? Okay, honestly. Like. Yeah,
especially during the Grand Prix final week. Like, of all times, you didn't need more attention this week.
And the cover-up is always worse than the crime, right? So then they said that they were
the wrong program.
The wrong program, and it was like he has the most like practice outfit kind of costume for the short. So yes, the whole thing is ridiculous. I mean, who's to know? And then I asked someone that used to work with the ISU, and he's like, "Well, there could be half Nazis still in the ISU, so you really don't know some of these old people." So. It's who's to know.
That thought that kind of provocative was edgy. Yeah, horrible. Yeah. Horrible.
So
it was a real misfire.
So then we have to go into the Hanyu situation. So, because the practices and the short program, Yuzuru did not have a coach here. He himself said that they could only bring one accredited coach because for him because he only had one slot for the cricket club. There was, with many of these schools, Trusova gets a coach, Shcherbakova gets a coach, Zagitova gets a coach, Kostornaia gets a coach. So you can bring Terry, Danny G, Sergey. You can bring the masseuse. When you have that many people, Daniil Samsonov for the Junior Grand Prix. You can bring, I don't know, like the hairdresser, whatever. But
Right.
the cricket club is not super dominant right now. Medvedeva didn't make it. Jason Brown didn't make the final. So they don't have the options. There's no Javi anymore. So you only got to choose one coach. And I think that we have been hinting, perhaps suggesting that there is tension at the cricket club between Brian and
Ghislaine.
Ghislaine. And it's not a slight on Brian. It's more of a slight on, it's just a commentary on human nature, okay? That Yuzu trains by himself in Japan for months, sometimes out of the year, and Ghislaine will be the coach that goes with him. So then they're naturally forming a relationship. Skating is all about egos and narcissism, and eventually, in these kinds of situations, one coach makes a move. We saw it happen with Marina and Igor. We've seen it happen with Shep Goldberg, Frank Carroll, and Michelle Kwan. These kinds of power dynamics always have a way of rearing their head, and I think we saw it when Yuzuru chose Ghislaine for to bring him here, and we've seen at other Kiss and Cries that it seems very choreographed when Brian and Ghislaine hug him. They don't seem to be united in the Kiss and Cry. You could see that awkwardness. And then, so he was here, and then Ghislaine, his passport was either lost or stolen, and he did not make it to practice in time. I mean, I've lost my passport. I understand. I don't know where he lost his passport. I'm sure that the Hanyu can give us the whole saga, but there's a big sense that this is going to lead to tension. So I called our friend Doug Haw because I knew that Doug Haw wouldn't be able to say anything because Doug Haw loves to talk skating. And all of a sudden I messaged him last week and he started being in the witness protection program. And what's funny is that Doug Haw, trying to not say anything, was giving so many red flags off that everything is going in this situation. And I was like, oh, thank you, Doug Haw. You are such a gift to us that you don't even know. Him not responding was like flashing red lights. And then I called him. He's like, I can't talk about this. I can't talk about this. And I was like, that's fine. That's fine. But what it's saying is that there is clearly some sort of a situation.
Is there
now.
something to not talk about? Yeah, exactly.
Well, how much do you think Brian Oyster enjoys being a silver medalist of the coaching staff of Yuzuru Hanyu?
I mean, here's the thing also, Dave, it's not even, in this kind of situation, it's not even who helps you the most in a training situation, it's whose energy you're going to respond to the most in a competitive situation, which to me could be two totally different skill sets. Someone that's helping you build the right program, someone that's helping you finite your technique. It may not be the same person that provides you with the same kind of energy you're looking for in a competitive environment. I don't think they're necessarily the same person, even.
How often do we see Hollywood stars or performers split with their management team, and then maybe they're going to yes people as they get bigger and bigger stars, and they start believing in themselves more, and then they sometimes make questionable decisions, right? So Yuzuru on the practice was really, his inner competitiveness is coming out. Yuzuru is an interesting person. People make a lot of interesting comments when he competes because he's intense in a point that's... he certainly has a sense of who he is and his place in the sport. And when Nathan was doing a clean run-through, Yuzuru had to go right after and do a quad lutz. These are the kind of one-upsmanships that we saw with Debbie Thomas and Katarina Witt. They exist in the practice. There's all sorts of psychological games going on. But honestly, I don't think that Yuzuru was intimidating Nathan. I think it was more about Yuzuru and himself and showing that he is still the supreme skater. But then he went and practiced his quad axel attempts for several minutes.
Well, and I wanted to talk to you about this, Dave, because I think at some point, yes, as we saw, even Elizaveta in Zagreb, she's throwing out that quad toe on the practice to show she has it.
Mm-hmm.
But to do something like the quad axel attempts and to make the kinds of errors, like he falls hard on those as anyone would. Like they were noble attempts, but I was like, this is masochistic and quite irresponsible and dangerous, in my opinion,
And
when you are at the Grand Prix final to be doing this kind of experimentation in the warm-ups.
So he's been practicing them since the summer. We do know that. But, however, he's been injured during practice sessions at competition several times before, right? His body is not, and that's where Brian's experience would be like, stop it. And we don't know, is Ghislaine gonna reel you in, or is Yuzuru running the show? Yuzuru by himself is running the show, seems almost prone to, thinking not without logic.
Pushing too far.
Right? Yes.
Yeah.
And he's a warrior in many senses, and I think that's what makes this rivalry so interesting. In addition to the fans, in addition to what it says about scoring and the sport and everything like that. And he does want to push the bounds, but is the final the time to be practicing? And I honestly think that while he's a warrior, I think it showed a side of him that is almost close to desperation to being the king, right? Like he is so used to being the number one that he has to win the practice, have the focus. And I think Nathan just skated through here with his coach on his plan. And I think that with Yuzuru not having Brian here may have been the detriment. Now you're seeing what was lost by Brian not being here to be like, slow your roll, let's focus on the competition. And Yuzuru by himself didn't do a combination in the short program. He's doing all of this. And it's interesting is that Brian was sending signals that he was not pleased. So Brian has been at home. He showed himself working with the Learn to Skate kids. He then was wishing the Russian-Polish girl luck at Polish Nationals, which he didn't even go to because she doesn't have any competition. They just sent like a junior coach, with her. So very interesting with him not being at the final. I would think that either after Yuzuru loses, I think this could go in one of two ways. Either he will reassert his dominance by saying, well, clearly this was a mess at the final. What happened? You pushed too far, and like I can logically get you to beat Nathan, which I do believe is possible. I do think that Yuzuru can win at the Worlds, though he had a slaughter here that he lost. And we could get into the points of both of them and, the judging. And I do think that Nathan gets GOEs that are too high, but he's also on top right now. And this has happened to Yuzuru as well. Yuzuru's points climbed like everyone else's. Okay, so at one point, it happens to almost every star in skating. But I think that either Yuzuru will go off with Ghislaine or Brian will reassert dominance and be like, we're going to get on a plan to win. And I think they're at the point in their relationship where Yuzuru has 2 gold medals. Does he still want to be coached and managed, or does he want to call the shots? And I think that's kind of where they are. I don't know. What's your take on it?
Well, see, I kind of had a different... Now, you had more insight going in. So, to me, like, I remember, again, my favorite image from the 2014 Sochi Games was him with the Japanese Federation official in the short program when she made that "oh my god" face at that huge score. Why didn't even someone from the Federation sit in? And my knee-jerk reaction was, maybe this is a case where he kind of knew the way the cookies were going to crumble point-wise, and he knew this was going to be an uphill battle against Nathan based on content alone. So by presenting himself alone, somehow it was sort of a built-in excuse as to why he wasn't performing at optimum. But then with your insight about maybe a coaching situation, that changed my perspective on that. But it's such... Do you remember when Javi went to... I don't know, it was somewhere on the Grand Prix, I don't know if it was NHK or where, and Brian wasn't able to go with him for whatever reason. And Javi kind of imploded, and it became such an easy thing to say, well, Javi imploded because Brian wasn't there.
Which I think is true.
And then the next time Brian showed up, Javi was completely fine and back on top of his game. So I didn't know if this was some sort of built-in sort of reason for why Hanyu wasn't going to be able to take Nathan here. But of course, given the insight you're mentioning about the coaching, it changes my...
Well, you have to look at their personalities. Javi was an immature competitor, skater who needed that kind of guidance. We talked about him needed to get up in the morning, right? Yuzuru seems very self-driven, where he doesn't necessarily like to listen to outside influences. And at a certain point, is Brian the master, or is Yuzuru asserting dominance? And I think they're at that point in the relationship. They're at that point, Michelle Kwan and Frank, and then Michelle then, wound up getting a coach afterwards, but started making more decisions in her career. It happens. It's natural. They're at that point that I think we see happen in so many ultra celebrity stars, whether they're an athlete, whether they're a performer, where they, the influential figure they break off from. And I think that we're at that point, and we're going to see, does Yuzuru...
But, it's interesting. This quad Lutz, or the quad axel attempts, I was like, you're being foolish now.
Well,
I appreciate his tenacity. I love that kind of killer instinct within him, but now is not the time. And those kinds of falls were so outrageous. He absolutely could have hurt himself.
He plays them up too. He plays them up. He is a showman. So Yuzuru, one thing I was watching it with a group of skaters last night, and one thing that people were really discussing is that after his free program, Yuzuru knew that he had the door open for Nathan, right? Like he definitely, he upped his ante. He landed his first quad Lutz. He did many brilliant, brilliant things in that free skate.
Beautiful one. Beautiful, yeah.
But in the second half of that program, he left the door open. But the crowd was going bananas for him, right? It is raining, and he is out there selling it for the judges, for himself, in an extended period to where you would think that he just did the performance of his life. And it kind of, I do think it frenzies his fans up even more. Not that they have needed help with all the ISU
I think he
world
should
records.
do it. I don't blame him for doing that.
But it's showmanship.
I think it's absolutely part of that game.
This is acting. This is theater. This is performance. It's all part of the game.
Totally.
I'm not saying it's good or bad.
It's his own version of Caitlin Weaver. He's Caitlin Weavering the end. Yeah.
Yeah. He's doing the whole game. We saw Madison Hubbell do it. Yuzuru's is obviously more dramatic because it is literally raining stuffed animals, right? But you would have thought he just did the performance of his life. He left a lot of points on the table. He left out 2 triple axels because he popped the triple axel sequence at the end of the program, which is unbelievable that he was going to do. Unfrickin' believable. But he did not have the stamina to do it at the end of that program. And this is where you go back to, in the practice sessions, was he fully prepared to deliver that content? And was he somewhat distracted, right? Like, was he really tunnel visioned on the game plan, or was the game plan kind of shifty, right? And I think that normally he can change his program around in any other competition except when he's against Nathan. That's when you need to have and execute all of his elements. He cannot afford to double a jump and then put another jump in later. You cannot rearrange when you're against someone who's going to land all of their planned content. So there's that part of the situation. And I do think he can beat him, though, because if we saw a quad Lutz, as he did, this has been a bit of a bugbear for him. It was stunning.
Yeah.
Beautiful quad Lutz. One of the best we've ever seen. I think he can do it in the short program now. I think the fact that he did it in competition, he can do 1 in the short. I think he can do 2 in the long.
Yeah.
And then quad loop, I think he should do 2 quad loops. I think his Sao is also a gorgeous jump. He could do the toe. That's 6 quads. Do his triple axel. Done. Right? Like, that's an incredible program.
And there's something even I have
to look at the repetition. I'm just speaking extemporaneously.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, sometimes when we have these discussions, we're talking about an artist versus an athlete. And in some ways we are discussing that with Hanyu versus Nathan. But Nathan is artistic. Nathan is not just an athlete.
He's a showman.
However, yeah, Hanyu's content has a sophistication to it that's beyond Nathan's, in my opinion. The transitions in and out of the jumps, they're just a little bit more sophisticated, refined, more elegant.
I would say they're a lot Nathan more sophisticated.
Yeah, I think so.
The twizzles into the jumps. I mean, come on. Yeah.
And the exits out of those triple axles, things like that. So it's there. It's one of those things, and we'll talk about it when we get to the women, but same thing with Kostornaia. If you give enough quality to the element and around the elements, they will give you that advantage. And he doesn't have to have necessarily jump for jump with Nathan in order for him to win.
Nope.
So I agree with you. I think it could be very possible for Hanyu to surpass Nathan, but he has to deliver and be a bit more focused than he appeared to be here. And there's something, Nathan doesn't buy the hype. Hanyu believes the hype, and he's doing something different in a country that takes his status very seriously, that the U.S. does not take for Nathan. And inevitably, we've seen those skaters become so big that eventually they become a caricature of themselves. And the thing that's kind of so refreshing about Nathan is he's on the outside of all of that. He's just there to do his job, just chilling out, go win the competition, do his thing, and leave.
He's very respectful.
There's a total different quality. Totally.
Because he knows I think he is respectful, and he has to. If he is just to say, I want to beat Yuzu, he could lose all of his shows in Japan. So he has to be, and that's 100%. Where he has to be very strategic about what he says, how he says it, the whole thing. And I think
it's very stoic in a way, his approach to the sport.
And I think he does believe.
It's unlike other people.
I think he does believe that Yuzu is fantastic. I just think he has to be very complicated. Like, I don't think he can go in and say, well, obviously I don't go into a competition for second place. Like, if he were to say that, you could lose all shows in Japan. Like, it's just, you know that
Right.
So you know that what happened here at the event is that all of the Olympians sign a part of the arena where their names go on when they compete at the Olympics. And some member of the fan group is so frenzied that they wrote, like, F the ISU. Because it's gotten to that point where it's getting that heated, right?
Okay.
Because they feel that Nathan is overscored. Now, some of his GOEs, I would say, do become inflated. And that's part of the scoring system. When you look at Nathan's jumps, they are fantastic. They are strong jumps. He does not hold his landings the way Hanyu does. And that's something that Doug talked about. That is true. You know, he does flip over to a spread eagle or something like that. He does not have the strength of the edge. He also doesn't ride his skating skills. Like, his edges, the lobes are not as deep, and he doesn't ride them as much. He is not a bad skater by any means.
They are deep. But
they're not as deep.
Of quality. We're just talking about compared to this one particular skater.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree.
But I still think that he would beat Yuzuru by a substantial margin here, especially given the mistakes that Yuzuru made. I don't think it's insurmountable, right? Daniel Lee,
Right.
who has, sponsored our dinners, is like, psychologically, Yuzuru can never come back. And I'm like, I don't know that I believe that, but I believe Yuzuru needs Brian to make that strategic plan. I actually think that this event showed that Yuzuru does need Brian, and it showed the value that Brian adds to the situation.
I agree entirely.
And I think that
But on the quad axle,
but I do think we've
nonsense
been
alone.
watching Ghislaine getting ready to make a move, because there is smoke there, and there is smoke there that
But this
he doesn't work
wasn't a
with.
good look then.
He doesn't work with Yevgenia, and I think that we have
It
seen
backfired.
there is smoke there. Imagine how that conversation went down when he said that he was going to take Ghislaine over Brian. That's like when Trusova and Morozov were together. They were working with Sasha Cohen, and Morozov decided to work with Michelle Kwan. You know, when you make that decision, that you may have just blown up the coaching relationship. You may have just lit a bomb, and that's
Right.
what happens in this sport. So,
Yeah.
now, Nathan, let's discuss this. Vera Wang made those costumes. People didn't like the last costume. I don't think you could have made uglier ones. At what point are we going to say that Vera Wang, when she's designing for men, is incredibly
Did she do
overrated?
these shirts?
Yes.
Okay, so when people were down on him about his Olympic costumes, I thought people were being over dramatic because they just didn't understand the simplicity behind them. But these oversized shirts, the problem is the fit of the shirt. Yes, it's a yellow one, or it's like a weird thing.
It's disgusting.
But the main thing for me, it's that it's baggy and denies Nathan lovely line that he has.
It cuts off his line.
looks
It makes him look
sloppy.
like Max
Yeah,
Aaron.
totally.
I thought that it chopped
Yes.
his body And it just made him look like he has
Totally.
these stocky legs that aren't as extended as Yuzuru's, and it made him look
And
like
he has
Max.
those.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, I thought the Olympic season costumes that she made for him, even though people decided that like they were suddenly fashion experts and they weren't good, I enjoyed them. I appreciated them. Would they be what I chose? Maybe not, but they were totally fine.
I don't think they were
But this
boring.
with
They were. It was
it's the
very
fit.
much. It was very much Evan Lysacek. Let's wear all black and look super masculine, right? But I don't think it
But it
necessarily
doesn't. You can,
was
it
it for
was
the
a choice, but
program.
it wasn't offensive.
It wasn't
Yeah.
offensive, but I don't
Well,
think it
because
had
we
anything to
knew
do
they
with.
weren't for the program because he kept changing them in, all the time between programs. But they were staple uniforms that still looked elegant and enhanced his form. These are distracting. They make him look hunchy. They make him look a little sloppy. It was distracting, not enhancing. It
I
seems
think
an
Vera's
unfortunate
iffy.
choice.
She gave Evan phallic symbols that were glittery. I mean, if you are going to look back at your Olympic program, do you want like glittery snakes looking around your
Yes,
that look?
I stand by that. I think that was a completely gorgeous costume. I get it's like haute couture. I was with it on that one. It was a choice. It wouldn't be what I chose, but at least it had a place.
Jonathan, it
The
looked like he had
form.
silver penises around him for a skater that people would make
Well,
comments about on the like. Come on, okay, like let's.
why fight it? Go with it. She knew what she was doing.
She
Own it.
must. I think
Own it.
Vera's having a rough period. Evan is marrying another rich Asian girl that seems to be even more connected in society than Vera and her family. It seems like she's going through a rough
Possible. Okay.
time, and I think it's affected her design work. Okay, I think that this was an off
Yeah.
moment. Okay,
Yeah, I felt like she was like, "Oh, I just have this. It's 10 sizes too big. Just it'll be great."
and
Yeah,
that
it just seems so. It's the tailoring that is the most offensive
I think Vera's lost her mind. I think she does beautiful costumes for Michelle Kwan, beautiful for Nancy Kerrigan. This is not her moment. Okay.
here. Okay. Yeah, it's a miss.
You
And
know,
I get it.
Mariah Carey had all those wonderful albums when she was with Tommy Mottola, her Svengali. Maybe he treated her well, maybe he didn't. She leaves him. She does glitter. This is Vera Wang's glitter.
Just
Okay,
saying.
Jonathan.
Just saying. Okay, this is her glitter movie. This is her Crossroads starring Britney Spears.
Um, Otherwise, Nathan, I think is great. So charismatic with the footwork.
And
Very.
better in the finest form we've seen him.
Um,
He knew that he had to bring it here.
I don't know if it was the camera angle, but did the knee slide not have its moment during the footwork? It seemed like that one moment was a little bit. The whole thing was great. Okay, the whole thing was great. He does not have. I have to say, his flying camel kills me every time on such a level.
Yeah, yeah.
It is just not his element. Okay,
Such,
just
yeah. On a non-level 4, you mean? Yeah, okay.
it's very Jenny Kirk 1999 Flying Camel. We just watched it. If you can see it in the
We do,
YouTube.
yeah, now we have all those vintage programs up. Yeah,
Have you
okay.
watched them, Jonathan? They are so.
Of course, I've been watching them as they come in. They're fascinating. Some people I forgot I even knew.
And someone was like, "Why doesn't the 2000 tape look as pretty?" And it's like, so this was in a VHS tape where that was Jenny's mother passed away 17 years ago, and I finally got her to, or 18 years ago. I finally convinced her that yes, you do have these tapes somewhere, and they found them. Her sister converted them, so there may be some degradation in some of the VHS tapes over time. But what a fascinating thing to watch. The best is Deanna
Yeah.
Stellato in 2000. Is not happy with her performance. She popped a jump. There was a mistake. She made mistakes, right? And you just see her talking to that coach who looks like a glammed up.
As if it was 2019 Kiss and Cry.
And she's like, no, I don't know. And the coach is trying to tell her it's okay. And like, amazing. People do not change, Jonathan. The character.
As much as people grow, sometimes they don't in some ways. Yeah. Okay.
It was so good. It was so good. Oh my goodness. Okay. Now our friend Kevin Aymoz, did he have a Richard Simmons moment in the Kiss and Cry or what? Okay.
When you said that about Jason the other week, and I almost like fell off the chair. This was that moment. Twice we got those moments. Now it was interesting because I don't know how you would be as a competitor. I was trying to put myself in the mindset when his music went awry. for the short program. You saw him go to a dark place. He did a little dismissive, like, this isn't the right music. And I saw a darkness come over the face, and I thought, oh shit. If that had been me, it would be like, well, now the whole thing's ruined. Like, I would be afraid, I would be in such a negative mindset. And he was able to channel what I believe was some internal anger and annoyance into kind of a fight and a drive, which was very impressive to me in the short program.
It can cut the tension a degree, and maybe the negative tension, because someone like Kevin, you know that he is hoping for a bronze medal, knows that that's his max here. He knows that he's not going to beat the top two men unless, they can't skate half of their program or something like that, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Or something really awful happens. He knows that he's likely going for a bronze medal and fighting for that and needs to be perfect.
And it's a hard bronze medal to get. Yeah.
So I think in that kind of a situation, it can cut the tension. But what happened to your boyfriend, Dmitri Aliev, Jonathan?
It breaks my heart. He's, these sensitive types, they wilt so easily. And after he started with that magnificent quad lutz, I thought, okay, we're cooking. Here we go. And it just takes for him, and this has always been the case in his career, it just took a couple of goofy mistakes and it just spirals. I'm pretty sensitive, and sometimes it's hard for me in a performance. If I start something a little goofy, it's hard for me to pivot. It's hard for me to move forward and make things right instead of constantly going back and trying to figure out how to sort of analyze what has already happened. You know what I mean? And I fear he was just so behind the moment, thinking, oh shit, I just fell on that. Oh my gosh, I just did that. And it just got away from him bit by bit. And we love those stories, and it seems like trite commentary sometimes when they're like, wow, really came back and fought for the next jump. But I think there really is something to that, and he just was unable to do that here. And unfortunately, identify with him. I think he's still probably safe. I think Russia's going to get how many men for Europeans? Maybe 3, and 2 for Worlds?
They don't have 3 for Worlds, that's for sure. So
and again, because Samarin is kind of delivering, I think Aliev, having made the final here, is still safely above Voronov.
What's happened to our friend Kolyada? Did he get his sinus surgery, his nose job, whatever is going on? Did he get it all figured out? Like, what is happening? Will he be back?
And you know what I think of every time we see these like impossibly killer Russian women, and then we see these very fragile Russian men.
Terry told us.
Thinking of what a Terry. I exactly think of what she said when she's like, "Men are babies." That's why I work with the women.
No, I sent you a photo.
And she's right.
I sent you a photo of my lovely friend who skates like Tessa Virtue, but she's a single skater. She was at a.
Okay.
Can you see it on camera?
Oh, yes, I saw it with Dmitri. Yeah.
You didn't react, Jonathan. This is her moment. This is Emily
Because
Alakar.
remember, I'm 13 hours different, so I think it came in the middle of the night.
I don't believe it did. Anyway, it was timed. It was before I went to bed. And this because you responded, which junior ladies should I watch? Right after. Completely ignored.
Oh, okay.
Wait a second. I have receipts. We have receipts, people. Okay.
But what time did you send that?
At 8 o'clock. So 13 hours ahead. It was 9
p.m. Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Okay. I'm doing a show. I'm living my artist life.
Emily Alakar was with your boyfriend, Dmitri Aliev. So backstory on that is his coach goes to Newburgh with the Makarovs, and they do a clinic every June. So I think you need to get back on the ice, and we could do the clinic with their coach.
Yes.
And sometimes they bring Dmitri Aliev in person, Jonathan.
I think his skating is so beautiful. I know I say this every time we watch him skate. It blows my mind that his spins don't match the beauty of body movement that he has.
They really don't.
It's a real disconnect for me, because for someone who skates with his full body like that, it's mind-boggling to me. For instance, like Jason's edges and things like that are matched with beautiful spins, and so it's a real miss here. And those kinds of levels in the spins, could have really helped at least maintain a bit of a higher score, even if he was still to have placed sixth.
Yeah. All right. So, otherwise, Samarin showed some great moments with the jumps. The program still sucks, but he is a fantastic athlete, jumper, one of the best quadless triple toes we have ever seen. Certainly.
Ever seen.
And Bo Yangjin still uneven here. So still
tough. And it's a tough watch when it doesn't go right.
And how good were the junior men from Japan in the Junior Grand Prix final? The skating skills, the edges, the speed, it was like...
The knees.
The knees.
Beautiful.
Those future stars of the sport. And also...
100%.
Can we talk about our little friend Daniil Samsonov, who has the greatest hair we've ever seen? He has the line, the fade, and the part going on. That is some level 4 hair, people. Do we not a hair out of place, literally? Okay.
Yeah, literally. Yeah, exactly.
No, he can't check the landings.
It's stunning.
Well. He really struggles on the landings, but he fights. Okay. Remember what it's
my artistic voice never can.
I would like him to have choreography that expresses that Josh Groban porte a little bit more.
I agree.
Come to Newburgh, Daniil will help you, okay? We'll help you have a moment. We'll give you a lunge.
But he's an artist through and through. Like, I love these sensitive male skaters that just bear their heart and soul. And it subsequently comes sometimes with very unpredictable jump landings.
Now, I think...
I don't know why, but...
Our friend Leonardo Buonomo, who loves all Italian skaters. We have Marie, who loves all German skaters. So Leonardo was at the final. It was his moment.
But Daniil
is looking like rough. So I think Matteo Rizzo is going to win Italian nationals. So when we discuss that,
safely,
yeah, Grossel really had some difficult moments.
Has that real tough free program content that I'm just unsure of what's.
And what is that program about? Like, that's a real offensive one too.
Yeah, I'm surprised the ISU.
And guess who did that program? Benoit. Always. It's just a little awkward. So, anyway, junior men.
No problem. Call Benoit. Yeah, okay.
Evenly Nguyen did not pull it out in the final. They lost by just a little bit, and they really lost on.
But it was so close. Yeah.
Doesn't matter, Jonathan, to lose by that close. I mean, you are devastated. And Igor, the political master of all time, lost to a team from Georgia, not even real Russians.
But I'm curious, and I'm gonna do that horrible thing where I call you out in the moment. The Georgian team, hurry, Wikipedia them. I'm intrigued how old they are.
I don't know.
They're too old, is what I'm saying.
Weren't they 18 and 20 or something? I don't know how they got in. Some birthday.
Yeah, I think he was 57. So it was one of those things where I still feel. But just.
Because, I think the man can be older. Can't the man go till 21 or something? So, there's a...
Yeah, and that's, I think, what we were experiencing here, which to me really does change the climate of the competition a little bit.
Well, the Carmen team was a little bit old, too, even though everyone wanted to... I just thought it was a terrible Carmen, and why was she wearing blue and not red and black? That's what I was offended by. I don't know what people were offended by. Don't vague tweet me. You got to say it, okay? You keep talking to me about some...
We need details. Yeah.
Listen, you people are vague, and some of you intense. I don't know what you're upset about. Just
use your words. Yeah.
I still love the man from Israel who's always having a one-on-one conversation with us that I'm not really sure, but... he loves all things Jewish. He seems sweet. So, anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Moving along to the senior ice dance. Was it not the campiest Ethel Merman moment of all time when Hubbell came out in that faux fur coat? Jonathan, is this show? Is this ISI theater competition? I don't know what that was, but I honestly don't think it has... I don't think it's for a competitive ice dance, but she seems like a lot. And you got to respect... She's leaning in, okay? Maybe in the wrong ways, but they're leaning in.
She's digging in her heels, and it's like, again, okay, they revamped it as if that was the problem, and that he needed a baseball tee, and they were going to go now Joe DiMaggio and Marilyn Monroe. And instead of the team coat, it seems show skating. It seems like now we're basically using a prop. Even though it's the warm-up, we're using a prop. This seems so absurd. And and it means you feel the need to compensate when, in my opinion, you don't.
Now, it was fun. Some people love it. They're going to
I'm
get very
allergic to it.
offended. They're going to say that we have no sense of humor. But my thing is that,
This isn't the time for a sense of humor.
can
in
we be
the
honest
run-up.
about it? Like it's tough to discuss this in this climate, but people think that Hubbell and Donohue are a lot. They're not the typical ice dance team. She's a little bit female dominant. It's a little bit,
Which actually I find one of the most intriguing qualities of
people
their team.
either love it or they don't love it, right? Like they're not for everyone, right? They are fantastic skaters at the end, right? Like they are so fantastic. That cannot be denied, right?
Disputed. The power and the edges. Yeah, of course.
But their own choices seem to be losing them favor with their own coaching staff because they're digging their heels so much when they chose this music and the programs. But what we were noticing is that, Jonathan, I don't think that you have any knowledge of the song Shallow. Like, this is not your area of expertise. You're going to hate it, whatever. There is a point in that music that the people love, right? The white people love it, okay? And they don't edit the music well, and they spend all this time on this rock song. And actually, I was in my work cafeteria the other day, getting my coffee, minding my business, as I do, and a song from A Star Is Born was playing, the Is That All Right song. And I was like, wait a second. They could have an almost emo-y moment, almost like their Hallelujah, and then go into Shallow, better edited, and they could just edit the song. It's the rock song that really kills the program. The rock, what is that? That doesn't sound like music.
Dave, can you hold on for 1 second?
Okay, Jonathan.
Hi, can I help you? Pardon?
Yeah, more number bit?
1420.
Oh, okay. You did. No, Chen. Yeah, 6
Pardon?
Yeah, like.
You don't want me to use the podium? That's
I
a
don't know
problem?
what time is it here?
Pardon?
What time are you
I don't
saying?
know what time. Long time.
Oh, maybe another, like a half an hour, 40 minutes.
Oh.
So Jonathan was using a podium or something. Apparently, it was really needed at.
It's the Harborview Hotel in Hong Kong, and I highly suggest that no one stay here ever.
Okay.
Okay.
So we were going into how we hope that no one ever skates to that rock song from A Star Is Born again. That I'm sure Tracy Lee Brown.
But you know what? Here's the thing, because we talk about their powerful quality.
They're big and broad and drag queens and yes.
But kind of this like aggressive thing that they do so well. And I actually thought that the rock music kind of did give in to that. I kind of thought like actually it kind of, because of their like gruff skating quality, that they could skate bigger and harder than anybody else. I didn't know if kind of that rock music
I think it
helped
cuts
that a
off
little
their
bit.
beautiful edges and makes it a harsher,
Okay.
choppy. This is a team with
Okay,
big,
because it's
broad
just a shorter
lobes.
phrasing.
Because think about it, rock music is choppy. It's right, and this is their big, broad, beautiful. Brian Boitano
So
with
you
his
want
big
bigger
thighs and
phrases.
butt on
Okay.
the lake, right? We want to see
Okay.
them move. They are big, beautiful glaciers with Brian Boitano in that special. Okay, I want to see some
Okay.
Brian Boitano spread eagles from them. I don't want to be seeing
Yeah.
like
Something more broad,
something
I suppose,
grand.
instead.
Okay, Jonathan.
Yeah.
Like those big Christmas ornaments on your Christmas
right.
tree. Everyone is a big woman embracing herself.
That's right.
All right.
That's right. Owning it.
It.
Yeah. See, I kind of enjoyed the aggressiveness of the rock music, but I suppose I could see how aggressive rock music that had larger phrases could be even better for them.
And what's with his costume? People don't like her dress, but I'm like, it's so dark and drab. Where's the light? Where's the humor? Where's the heart in these? I don't know. It's
The joy in it.
the costume, honestly, the color of these costumes, I think is the first problem. That like, it looks like they're dark and dreary and depressed. And I don't know. I don't see I just think it cuts off the whole thing. And he's in these pants, and I don't know. It's just there's something really. The vibe is wrong with the costumes and everything. And they are great skaters. The music is wrong. And you can see that this is 2 seasons now that they have done this, where the music is wrong and they don't make the necessary changes early enough. And you can see here, their kiss and cry expression said everything. The fact that they lost to Chock and Bates, who have been a nemesis team for them, and now they have officially fallen back. Now, Marie-France is a political mastermind genius. And we need to break this down. And I was getting up the things because we have to talk about why she wastes time with teams from all the different countries that aren't super talented. Remember, I was talking about the Natalia Linachuk article that I interviewed Yelena Vaitsehovskaya about in my interview with her. And one of the things there is that the panel of judges at those Europeans was so important. So I thought that we would look at the panel of judges here at the Grand Prix final. We had Francesca Fermi, who was a technical specialist. I'm going to guess she's Italian. Just by the name.
One would assume.
Now, the assistant technical specialist, Ayako Higashino. Don't want to be typecasting, but I'm going to imagine that she is from Japan, right? So remember...
I think that's a safe guess, yeah.
Marie-France loves to win, but she does have that Japanese team, Tim Coletto and his wife, that skate for Japan. And they didn't make the cut for the free dance at Worlds. Why does Marie-France spend so much of her time working with that team? Her time is limited. She seems busy. She has a daughter. Well, you get the Japanese judge. And here, you got the assistant technical specialist when you have Julien, who's trying to cut down all of your teams. So, and Julien plays this same game, by the way. So,
of course. Although he certainly didn't here. I was shocked at how this panned out. But okay.
So judge number 1 is from Poland. I don't think Marie-France has a Polish team. I don't think she certainly doesn't look like she eats carbs ever. I don't think she's having pierogies, all right? Judge number 2, I think that's a Julien judge. Safe bet. Judge number 2, Salome, whatever the last name is, from Georgia. That looks like a Julien judge. Elena Fomina from Russia, Georgian judge, right?
Because we saw several of these judges actually go completely with the Russians above... let's see, I'm going to pull up this score now. Go several above Hubbell and Donohue. Almost everyone had Chock and Bates second.
No,
but
I don't know.
For instance, the Georgian judge had Stepanova Buchan third, had Victoria and Nikita fourth, had Madison and Zach fifth, just like Russia did, just like France did.
Now,
and even Canada buried Hubbell and Donohue, as did Italy.
Okay, so a lot of people don't like Hubbell and Donohue, and I'm sure that Julien went for the attack on Hubbell and Donohue, which made it even easier to prop Chock and Bates, because you can only attack one while promoting another. And she's a genius, this Marie-France, okay? She knew that everyone loves Madison Chock and that they're going to attack Hubbell. The Russians have been after them. All they have to do is say, look at that girl, Madison Chock. You want to promote her? They can move and maneuver, but she got them to do the good work. So judge number 4, Jennifer Mast from USA. Now, did she go Hubbell and Donohue, or did she go Chock and Bates?
She went she went Chock and Bates
that's
by
fascinating.
A substantial amount.
Because
3 points.
This means that nationals, Chock and Bates have the edge, that the U.S. judges are also over, because that's the decision there. Judge number 5.
Only one judge had Hubbell and Donohue above Chock and Bates, and that was the Spanish judge.
Interesting.
And it was by less than a point. Everyone else had them safely above.
And I don't even know that Marie-France had to make that decision. That may just be the way that they're feeling and the way that this vibe has been going. This has been a vibe now for 2 seasons. That's what happened.
The Chock and Bates.
All she had to do was give them good programs. It was the Elvis thing that made all the difference. Madison Chock never had a good program in her life until she got to Marie-France, and all of a sudden it's like, beautiful.
Well, and as much as we used to talk about the blade work lacking from Madison Chock, her ability to maneuver her body in beautiful positions in those lifts, that takes a tremendous amount of talent. And the things she is doing that Egyptian program are immensely
her makeup?
Creative, beautiful, powerful.
How much is the makeup worth for interpretation versus the costume? Think about,
but she's backing it up. It's not just fluff. I mean, she really is backing it up with substantial ability in those lifts and holds.
And the acting, the sections on the ice that they're performing. Hubbell and Donohue give you 0 moments in these new programs of that.
They give you power.
Let me get back to the judging panel. Okay. Number 5 from France, obviously going from Papadakis and Cizeron, Team Marie-France. She also has other teams from France. Judge number 6, Canada, Janice Hunter. Now, they might have known that Piper and Paul were cooked here. Also, their world bronze medal just went to shit at home. So goodbye that.
I know. Yeah, the Canadian judge did put Piper and Gillis second in the free, and
She really
actually
did.
the French judge had Piper and Gillis third, or Gillis and Poirier, you know what I'm saying, had them third behind Chock and Bates.
Yeah, but where'd the French judge put Nikita and Victoria?
Yeah, the French judge put Nikita and Victoria sixth.
Yeah, she really did. Right?
Sixth.
And that's the team
Yeah.
that Marie-France wants to knock off, because she knows they're
Right.
going for the silver medal, and that the Russians have been so greedy that they are now in the Russian Pravda press have been talking about what they can do to beat the French team. So you know what she did?
But she caught him right where it counts. But even the Russian judge put Victoria and Nikita fourth behind Stepanova and Bukin here.
Well, that's
it's very fascinating.
That's internal Russia
Yeah.
not having their political order. And who's that judge? Is that a Trusova judge? Because remember, Trusova is behind Bukin
Loves Bukin.
Because Bukin is...
Georgia did the same. Georgia had Bukin third and Nikita fourth. It was only the Polish judge that put Victoria and Nikita above.
I believe
Bukin.
the Polish judge is a Julin judge, right? So then the
Must be.
judge number set, and by the way, the world's panel is very Marie-France, just so you know. You have Tomi Fukudomi. Again, that Tim Coletto team winds up being so beneficial, okay? That judge number 8, and by the way, that's how Tim Coletto got into Marie-France. He knows that judge is his training power. That's how he got the good coaching and the good programs. He knows he comes from Tom Z, but he's got the Japanese judge on his hands. Massimo Orlandini, Italian. I don't think Marie-France has an Italian team, but the Spanish, remember we have...
No, because the Italian put Canadian second, which was adorable.
What, they all... But the Spanish judge can go either way. That could be a Julin judge, or that could be a Marie-France judge. Remember, she had Eric's husband. She has Olivia and Hubbell's fiance.
Yeah, the Spanish judge was doing the good work for Marie-France. Now, he had Zach and Maddie second, Chock and Bates third.
Okay, so that's a very Marie-France judge.
He was the only one that placed Zach and Maddie ahead of Chock and Bates.
She just had to promote her teams, and that is how she pulled off the sweep. Okay? Thank you, Tim Coletto. You were so useful to us. Legend, queen, icon. Like, this is worth it. Okay? And that's how Ice Dance played out. I mean, all you had to do is tick off Marie-France with a little bit of those articles talking about how you can get so close to the French. Please. With that snooze of a free dance of all time, him doing...
I was surprised that it was just kind of, Poland, Georgia, and Russian put it fourth. They didn't even try to put it third. And then everyone else solidly had them in last.
This
it was
politics is
fascinating
fun.
to me because I thought they were going to throw Bukin last.
This is as much fun as you know that every white man running for the Democratic presidential nomination will choose Stacey Abrams to be the vice president. So we soak up the women and the black vote together. This is why politics is fun, people, okay? It's about...
Okay, if you say so, Dave.
It's about the speeches and the message and the strategy. It's all fun. It is about the skating, but you have to have the other part in order. And Ice Dance showed that. So... a little bit of fun.
I thought it was an embarrassment of riches, though. I have to say, even though... I have to say this is one of the deepest ice dance fields I'd seen in a long time. Each one kind of had their own merit in their own way. And usually there's kind of a dud. And even though, like, Nikita and Victoria, they were still doing a thing. Although songs my mother taught me, for them to be so, like, over-the-top dramatic, like when you know the song, as I have sung it at Carnegie Hall and at the Kennedy Center in recital, it's not that kind of, like, shticky sort of thing, so it confused me a little bit. But each free dance in its way was so different and so innovative that it really held my interest more than most dance competitions have in the past.
Well.
Right?
Yeah. Look, the politics kept me wrapped. With I was,
And within an inch. I mean, they were doing all that maneuvering within a very small margin.
and think about it. Papadakis is such a queen that she could be friends with both Madison Chock and Madison Hubbell. She was taking Madison Chock videos. Notice the two Madisons don't seem so close on Instagram anymore.
Yeah.
After four
Funny
continents
that.
last
Funny
year.
that. Yeah.
And
But
it was
Gabby seems like a hoot. She is always like a character in the Kiss
very
and Crying
fun.
backstage. Yeah,
And we were
yeah.
with, I was with Jonathan McGilnick, who was a lower ranked ice dancer in the U.S. He was from California, and he was just going off about the ice dance teams and all the strategy and the fun. And as someone who got his butt kicked by Detroit, he was saying the politics were fascinating here. And
Yeah. Okay.
but yeah, it was quite fun, quite interesting, and yeah, I think certainly nationals. I think the Chock and Bates have the edge going in, because I don't think they'll have enough time to make the real changes to the free dance for Hubbell and Donohue that need to be made. And it's, if you don't have the,
You have to want to make them, and they don't seem wanting to.
I think the parents will go into that they were robbed, but it's, I think at this point you can just kind of tell what is.
Well, because what you're dealing with is whether you buy what the French are selling or not, they're doing a thing. And as we discovered in our interview when we were talking with them, is they're not really coming from a traditional ice dance pedigree or background in a way. They're coming from outside sources. So part of what's
Yet
interesting
they've
to me,
skated
whether
their
you buy
whole
it or
frickin' lives, so I don't buy that.
I know. Yeah, but it's what they're doing is so almost out of the norm.
But is that
it's so
what they're
refreshing.
selling? Is that like the Alyssa Liu thing where they're like, we're great artists from outside of skating. We want to be above skating. Everyone is selling
Is
you
that
bullshit.
Alyssa Liu? Alyssa
Yes.
Liu doesn't strike me as that. What?
Alyssa
I
Liu was playing gamesmanship by saying that Carolina's helping her on the cell phone. Meanwhile, they fly
well, no,
in.
that's ridiculous.
Yeah, and then there were some young gays that are going to some like prep schools that were like, you're just being shady. And I'm like, that's not what I'm saying. Okay, they bring in Tom Dixon to work on her skating skills. They bring in Frank Carroll. They bring in all of these.
And how
Raheem.
dare you reduce the great artistry of skating into something that could be transmitted over the telephone?
So
Like,
let me
it's
go into
ridiculous.
that. Everyone is selling
Yeah.
you bullshit and Phil Hirsch thought he had the greatest like exclusive of all time. He got to call Carolina. He loves Carolina. She gave him some great articles. He loves to talk about when she bombed at the Olympics. Then she was so beautiful later on. He can revisit his own tweets that he loves to repost. And he thought he was calling Carolina for the big exclusive. Only it's a freaking joke, because if you are ever on the ice and work on your skating skills, someone is like, okay, move your arm here, move your head here, move your chin here.
Right.
How is Carolina going to do any of that detail, minute-to-minute work over the phone? It's not happening.
No,
okay?
of course. Yeah,
You might
of
get
course.
like this much. It's feel good. It's like saying that Baryshnikov gave Debbie Thomas so much advice that made such a difference. And then you have queens
Yeah, they just told her
that
to believe in herself. Yeah,
But
come on.
it works because people get in their minds. They make the association, and they're being like, "Oh yeah, Baryshnikov helped Debbie Thomas. What a queen! She's so great. I see such improvement." Right? And it just gets repeated and repeated, and people start believing it. And that's why they made sure to tell you that Carolina Kostner is helping Alyssa Liu. If she spent 5 minutes with her in the fall and does touch-ups, that's not the same as the work that her coach is or isn't doing based on her slow-ass skating skills.
Day in and day out. Yeah.
So
ridiculous.
Anyway.
But I mean, just like their kind of outside sort of situation with the ice stands, that it's something so different, whether you like it or not. And then for Chock and Bates to come, they're doing something so provocative and like cool and neat that's just so refreshingly not what everyone else is doing. Quite frankly, same with the Piper and Paul.
Jonathan, I have to be honest.
So uniquely
I
them.
love the French,
Yeah.
and I could not want to roll my eyes or vomit harder when they gave that answer during our interview. I have to be honest about it, and I love them. And I thought that answer was ridiculous.
Okay. If I'm being totally honest, though, like I find
just
this an opera all the
my
time.
artistic point of view just connects with their. No, I wanted to vomit so hard.
No. But I know like some opera singers where certain opera singers will listen to old opera singers all the time, are total fans of opera and sing it. And I know other people that are like, nah, I just kind of do it. I'm not
They
like
grew
a super
up
like
in the sport.
sci-fi.
If you are
Yeah, but
a
that doesn't
skater,
mean they're like idolizing all the other
yeah,
ice
but you
dancers.
go to
Well,
competitions and you see people and you appreciate and you copy as a developing skater. You're not in a lab vacuum just like reinventing the sport of ice dance, Papadakis and Cizeron. You grew up in a rink where you saw people every effing day. So like, I don't buy that for
yeah,
a
I
damn
guess
second.
it's people that do it, but people are really, they may not be as big of fans of it as other competitors.
From
of
age
theirs.
5, they were in the rink being like, we're so much better than Natalie Peshla and Fabian Borza.
I didn't get that they said they were better, but
But by not
they didn't
even
grow up
saying,
idolizing other ones.
by not saying like, oh, we really appreciated their work. That was such a stupid answer, Jonathan. And
I don't know. I kind of got it. I kind of liked them for it. They were like, I don't know. We don't really watch skating. I was with them. On it.
They worked with Christopher Dean on their damn programs. They can't say, oh, he was such a genius. He gave us such help.
Yeah, but do you believe that they go back and like go down a YouTube rabbit hole and watch Christopher Dean programs?
I think before you spend $10,000 to work with a choreographer, you may visit some of their work that they've done. And
some may, but some may not. Even though they should, some may not. I don't know. It's tricky.
They're world champions. They're not dumb. And that answer was to give it a point that they are innovative artists, changing. They're trying to sell a narrative too, Jonathan. Okay, everyone is selling you something in skating. You have to like understand that.
Exactly.
All right.
I'll buy it. I'll buy what they're selling.
Everyone is constantly selling you something in skating. Okay, you have to just like. Anyway.
But what I have to say is most of what these ice dance teams were selling were at least not the usual thing. So it was at least refreshing that most of these were a little outside of the typical box.
Anyway, the French free dance, I love the short dance. She did have the rhythm dance. She did slip. And it's so
Although
funny.
she did make it look like a lunge quality, like as if she was doing a variation.
But what's amazing is that when people become fans of the top teams and believe they're infallible, when they make mistakes, I was getting texts from that Daniel Lee that took us to dinner. Look how close the other teams are to the French. Well, they almost fell. And then they're like...
And if they're not close now, then you're completely invalidating of the other times when they have scored high.
Yeah.
Because you can't reward that.
Same thing with Sui and Han. They made major mistakes here. So yes, they don't have their big lead. But it's just interesting. The French, I still stand by that I think that the free dance is missing something. It's not, to me, it's not the great work of all time. To me, it lacks a little emotion and a little heart and a little... something that takes it to the next level. I think last year's free dance was better, to be honest. I think it's cool. I think it's very cool, their free dance. And I think conceptual.
It's cool in concept. Yeah, exactly. I don't
appreciate it.
Their defining thing. It's a cool idea that they were trying to do. And of course, you're talking about selling you something. They're selling you something that's different than what they normally do. So maybe part of Canada can...
Or people might think that it's selling you more of what they do, that people don't necessarily... It's a little bit to the left. It's very hard to the left. What I wonder is where do they go from here? Do they go to a classical piece of music next year? Because they have to give you something different.
Right.
So, and then how does that set them up for the Olympic year? Did they go to, like they have to rearrange all the chess pieces. But it'll be interesting to see where they go. Now, in the pairs... This was really KMT.
After such stellar events, there were so many stellar events that were happening here, but the pairs, oh my gosh, what happened here?
Interesting. KMT and Michael. Kirsten Mortowers, Michael Marinero. This was interesting to me because remember, at the World Championships, he completely biffed. All time. They've been improving on a roll. He is by far the weaker partner. And especially in terms of competition, and they get here, and the mistakes, you wonder, is this a team that doesn't have it to compete against the top teams when they feel insecurity, right? Like we've always said that this team was not a great match, that this team was not the match of all time. And they've improved, and they had a great skate at NHK, and this was their chance to redo Worlds against these top teams. And Bruno was now with them. He wasn't with them at NHK. And to me, they bombed that free program. And Bruno, so positive, was like, it was better. And I thought...
Well, it was better than the short, for sure.
I thought it was a train wreck. I thought the whole competition was... And I really...
And I have to be honest with you. we talk about this all the time. I think KMT, it's like very cool what she's done. She lost her confidence. She's coming back. She's doing all this sort of stuff. This color did not look good on her because you picked this partner. Yes, he's weaker than you. You made this choice and you have decided to stay with him. So this constant kind of cold attitude, vapid, like emptiness in the kissing
I don't
cry
know that she was mad
so
at him, or
unbecoming.
was she just dejected?
I don't know. It was just very unbecoming. I understood
Well,
in the
I would
short
be
program,
upset
but for it
too
to
if
repeat
you.
itself.
Wouldn't you
But
be
it's the
upset?
same story. You knew what you were getting into. I mean, he is what he is. So
You train every
it's just
day.
like,
You hope that he doesn't bomb at the big moment. Like, I mean, I don't know. That's
but he always does. I mean, I don't. You can't buy an orange and just be mad that it's never an apple. I don't know. It's a little bit how she seems to be treating this. I found it very unbecoming.
I don't know. I don't think that she believed that he was an orange, all along. I think
Yeah.
that she had more faith. And I think in those moments, you have to wonder, like, what is going on? Because at home, they may train very well and be more consistent. But I think we're seeing that
Well,
this.
her attitude wouldn't inspire me to skate better. That's for sure.
No, hopefully they'll have their big worlds moment. It'll be more triumphant than it was here. But I think it's going to be very difficult for that to happen as we move
Well,
on.
now you say hopefully. I mean, hopefully in that I hope every athlete does their best, but
Yes,
I'm
Jonah.
not I'm not rooting for them. I don't think that they're necessarily a team I need to see do well.
Well, I think that they have some artistic qualities that some of the other teams in this group don't have. Certainly
Okay.
than some of the Russian
Well,
teams
that's
that we saw here. The
that's very
Tron
fair.
program, is that a program that you need to see do well? Because it's not a program that I need to see do well. So,
Yeah.
and I don't think that
Although
the
I do
other,
love seeing a side by side triple flip.
and the 2 foot skating in the red, also not my cup of tea here. So,
Right.
when you say that, I'm like, I don't know. I think a hometown moment can be good for the sport. It can be great. It could be great for the skaters, keep them going, keep them in. Because this team, to me, looks like they're fastly approaching a crossroads of what are we going to do? What are we going to
But I
do?
feel they've been at the same crossroads for seasons and seasons
Well,
now.
they moved with Bruno to Oakville, and is it improving? Is it getting worse? Now they have Luba, who has some attention and buzz in Canada. I certainly think that this gives them an opportunity to bounce back and win at Canadians after they lick their wounds. I think that they will get motivated over the holidays and train hard, and I think that they will pull off a Canadian title. It'll reinvigorate some confidence. They'll go into 4 continents, hopefully come out okay, and then prep for Worlds. That would be kind of the ideal scenario. Or they lose confidence from this. Somehow Luba lands jumps. It gives them further. And then what do? Do they switch coaches? Do they do what? It's too late to switch partners. You will never get
Right.
another partner that's up to speed into a world medalist before the Olympics, right? And this is,
Right.
and she, in the interview that I listened to in the Athletes Were, the one that's with Anastasia in Canada, she was talking about how, she feels older. You can tell her peers have started to retire. So it's an interesting mindset to be in. They're feeling the pressure because it's now gotten to the point where skating is really their long-term career. And you kind of do need to get your credentials at the end of the moment and your individual credentials. She has a team medal. They have Canadian titles. But this is where you really establish your legacy, your shows, your earning opportunity. And is this going to get it done? And what? And I know you hate them, but it's just,
No, it's not that. It's not that. It's just I just feel they've been spinning their wheels in the same way for several seasons now.
Well,
Yes, this was a big step forward to have made the final.
Think about
but
how
again,
good they skated 2
her
weeks
attitude
ago.
was so off-putting to me.
Well, I would be pretty disgusted with myself, with everyone, with the whole thing, not knowing what happened in practice the day before, what happened in the week before. I'd be pretty disgusted with life if I just skated so well at NHK and I've been I've been improving, right? And we get to the final, and what changed? Our program didn't change, the music didn't change, skating didn't change. All it changed, externally, there are different things here, and all of a sudden, us together are a mess. I'd be pretty hating everything and everyone at that moment because you have to figure out like what is happening. And I think that that's where that, I don't know that she's mad at him. Like that kind of, I would be really disgusted with everything. Because what changed from 2 weeks ago to now that we could just skate so beautifully and have a moment, and then now it looks like we've never competed before. Like what happened there? So, but I have to say the Russians also, Boykova and Kozlowski, who were on such a high, they had the same thing happen. And you know that Moskvina was working every political angle to push them ahead, and they were finishing.
They made it impossible for them to take advantage of it, yeah.
I mean, her air position looked off. He looked a mess. And what was she saying to him at the end of that program? Because that was fascinating. So I wanted to know, like, what was she saying? She was mad. So
for that to be the Russian pair that ended up, being the bronze medalists here, that blows my mind. I mean, where do you think these three teams now, where do you think Tarasova and Morozov are fitting in this with nationals?
I mean, I think that they are working to win nationals, to try to take advantage and, I don't know, see a relationship counselor and try to get it together and figure out their issues. I mean, honestly, this opens the door for them at Russian nationals. Because what happened to Boykova and Kozlowski, and you know that people are going to wonder, well, is this a team to get us through? I still think Moskvina, I trust her the most to pull this together. Mm-hmm. To me, this team is another dud. This team is a bit of a Shcherbakova and Naumov. I also think she's a little bit tall for him, or he's a little bit short, or whatever it is. They're not perfectly matched. She's very big in the shoulders. And the sleeveless dress makes her look like a bit of like a butterfly swimmer. But then she'll hit a nice line. Then she'll be very hunchy, like Zagitova. So it's not a slam.
It's interesting because, I know it's like always a cop-out to say, oh, I would put this person with this person. But I think the red team that ended up being the bronze medalist, I think he has such beautiful quality to him. And she's okay. But I think in the Tron team, I think that girl, although she took that enormously hard fall early in the program, like a Pogarelaya triple loop fall, but just skating forward, I think if they put her with him, they would have like an all-star team because I find her tremendously talented and he has such beautiful quality.
It's so hard for me to get past the Tron program. I'm going to have to really look at that. So
yeah, because I mean, she's got the triple flip. She has beautiful air position. She's a real fighter. And he's so elegant. But their partners seem to be sort of dragging him down in a bit. Of course, I mean, it's easy to say that,
Will it be Marina?
I think right now we have two middle teams right now instead of they could have, if they join forces, that could be one team that surpassed many of the others, I think.
Well, I definitely trust Moskvina more than I trust Marina's investment level with Tarasov and Morozov based on how their collaboration has gone thus far. So I'm curious what will happen at nationals, but that's something that makes me very excited for Russian nationals. So then you have Stobova in the mix. That is...
Well, I find, quite frankly, with these three teams and Tarasov and Morozov, I think she's going to be kind of a non-factor at this nationals.
You never know. They're all messes.
You never know. Yeah.
She also seems like she could yell at her partner after the program. So she's an actress, too. She was so loving him at the last event. Meanwhile, everyone in Connecticut is like, she screamed at him all summer. All summer.
Of course she did. And he said as much, like in those interviews where he's like, well, she taught me how to re-throw.
I keep wondering if Gracie Gold will wind up in Hackensack with Stobova, because she was, Tara Modlin had her filming all of the stuff at that rink, Are they going to have Craig coach her for free? Like, what could happen? You never know.
With Tara, anything is possible.
Anything is truly possible. Jonathan McGillnick was telling a story where she had a partner before her parents bought a Russian, Tara Modlin. Like, that she, in 99, like, she's in one of the original New York Times articles about buying a Russian and that phenomenon that was going on in ice dance, where the parents went to Russia, found a guy, they paid him expenses, paid him a salary, the whole deal, right? That was happening all the time in the 90s. He said her old partner hated her so much that they finished a free dance in like Placid and he cut up his costume. Because
he was like, never again.
Never again. Yes. So just amazing. This is just...
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The people...
Tempting. I understand the sentiment. Yeah.
Anyway, let's talk about the ladies' event because it was a barn burner. Let's start with the juniors, okay?
Okay.
Hyen Lee coming in here with all the potential in the world, so much momentum, bombed.
I know. And it's too bad because she really is a beautiful kind of like nostalgic era skater.
Then I was wondering if either of the other two Nonetary girls would prove that they need to move to Sambo 70. I'm not convinced. I think she's got the right team.
Yeah.
Maybe she could just prove them in to like move the herd and to push them, but I don't think there's
Right.
I don't think it's like last year.
Do you remember? Yeah. When we were talking.
Was a bigger talent than
Yeah.
these girls. To me, they seem like you could take them or leave them. I'm not sold.
They were filler, and they were tremendous filler, super solid, and all these sorts of things. But in 2014, we had talked about around the Olympics, Ottavio Cinquanta. It came out with that thing where maybe we should get rid of the short program.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember this? And we were like, what? But randomly watching the short programs here for the junior ladies, where, with the exception of Alyssa with the triple axel, everyone was doing the same content. Everyone delivered cleanly. And I was like, it's almost a pointless part of the program, or it's almost a pointless part of the competition. I mean, it's not, of course, but I was like, these women, I saw the same program 6 times in a row.
Well, maybe there's something to that technical and artistic program, you know? I mean,
yeah.
Who knows? I don't know. Maybe that's
this was kind of, if this is indicative of how the future is going to look, where somehow everyone is skating all this tremendous content completely clean.
But if we do technical and artistic, I don't want to see a gold medalist for each. I want to see the all. I don't know. Like I'm not into that.
Yeah, you would still want to see them factored. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, as we discuss these, I thought it was interesting that Daria Usashova skated last year with maybe she could get silver, you don't know, maybe she, you know. To me, there's something that Daria has that everyone talks about Kamila Valieva having beautiful skating skills in Russia, right? And at times she really does, right? But
I think she has extension. That's why they say that.
But she does have a run of the edge.
Easy to see. Yeah.
But she does have a run of the edge. She has horribly choreographed programs. The free is just, I have to say, Danielle is not talented. Okay, and then someone was like, "We keep people in." I mean, the bullshit comments.
Yeah, exactly. Not a good reason to do that. Yeah.
That's complete BS. Anyway, they fire anyone, change whatever.
Yeah.
So, I think that they obviously give her overwrought ballads for both programs. I like indistinguishable. She really, in terms of combining skating elements to skating skills, when you watch that double axel and the things that she can do in and out of it are so beautiful. She is capable of being a really iconic skater if she was given a certain level of individual attention that she's not. And it's a very factory method with her programs. But she is a nervous competitor. And I think we saw it again, the same problems in the second half. It almost reminds me of young Gracie Gold, where it's like she cannot keep the mind tough through the whole program.
Focused, yeah.
And it might be a perfectionism thing because she has so much to give and is not able to slam dunk in the same way. And I wonder, will we see it get better? Will we see it get worse? I'm interested to follow how she responds to this after nationals, because it seemed like putting her last just proved the point even further. They seemed happy with her for the bronze medal, but she's the only one that we haven't seen like the quad, other than Kostornaia.
Right.
We haven't seen a quad posted on Instagram. We haven't seen a triple axel. But I think she has long-term potential in terms of her ability. It doesn't look like she's going to get too tall. It doesn't look like her technique is going to go. Valieva, I'm not as sure about, but Valieva has a certain it factor and a beautiful extension. They overuse it, as all can be.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
And it cuts it down. It makes it so less special. It just looks sloppy. But
what makes it cheap in a way. Yeah, exactly.
And that Irina Goncharenko really nailed it when she talked about it. But I have to say, for Alyssa Liu, this is such a loss. And I know she's young, and people are going to be like, the pressure on these girls. Alyssa's father is putting a lot of pressure on her, too. Newsflash, okay? You were like literally...
The pressure is arguably greater on the Russians.
And they've already had Alyssa with the agent, putting her on all the talk shows. This was all set up. Interesting here. She lost because of the rotations and really because of the skating skills. And I thought that her PCS was higher than it should have been.
I thought that a little bit too, especially in the short.
Jonathan, her skating skills are not at the level of Valieva or Usachova, and not that they have
Right.
they are not like Patrick Chan or Costner on the ice, but they are compared to her. I mean, honestly, she needs a full session every day with a specialist working on that. She is not going to be ready for the Olympics, and I know that people want her to do it, and her technique is a little bit squirrely. Leading, she got a lot of under rotations. There's a bit of a carrot cake in the free, and I think she is charming and has a certain guts about her that is a star. I think that there is a part of her that is a competitor, that is a student, but it seems like they're really rushing the development in a certain way where she's not an all-around skater. And I think it's going to hurt
Right.
her because
Yeah.
the speed into the jump helps the jump, and I don't think that they've worked it in the appropriate way. And I don't know.
One, it's one of those things when we used to talk about Terry sort of building up her program, and it was for a while a bunch of squirrely jumps and lack of skating skills. That school is constantly adapting.
Yes.
Each girl that comes up behind the last one does have better skating skills. There is more attention. They listen. They are 100% adapting. So it's almost like
She knows that Kostornaia gives her street cred with the Western. She knows that people think Trusova can't skate. She knows that, and all of a sudden you see her loving Kostornaia now. And that momentum.
And you see her juniors as a result.
They do
with
learn.
More of an emphasis on that kind of thing. And I think, true to U.S. skating fashion, we're behind the times. So now we have an Alyssa Liu that's kind of reminiscent of what an Atari skater may have been a while back, where it was only about the jump, regardless if it was real.
She can't rotate those quads now under pressure. I don't know if she's going to be able to do them in 2 years, right? Like, I don't know. Like, what I think her future, it's very unclear unless she works on the basics and the fundamentals. It's, she does have talent, but that's a girl that needs an edge class every day of her life, right? To really work on the basic skating. And the presentation with the tights over the ankles just like further emphasizes the juniorish quality. And I think she's charming. And I think that she has a certain, gotta love the hotel staff here. Right as we get to the crescendo of the moment. I don't know where we left off with Valieva and Alyssa, but Terry really won it again because now she proved that even though Valieva didn't have the quads here, because she had a foot injury that we've been discussing that was kept sort of under wraps, although Ted seemed very concerned, but let everybody know she's going to the best medical doctors.
Yeah, I'm sure in Germany.
You have to love Ted. Jenny Kirk's roommate.
Well, he's in her pocket, and fair enough. If you run a Grand Prix circuit, you'd have to be.
Ted is so funny because Jenny's roommate thinks that Ted has anxious energy and that he over-commentates every turn in a forward sequence. And once you hear it, you can't unhear it. That Ted seems to be the most nervous fanboy. That's like, and she does a rocker counter into a double axel, twizzle out. He can't not stop commentating the more nervous he is.
But speaking of the commentating, again, I do want to applaud the ISU for live streaming and then having quality replay videos on both the junior and senior. But I was intrigued.
I admit that Ted is kind of a caricature in the best way.
Yes.
Okay.
Correct. But at least he keeps it quiet during the performance then. So at least I don't have to hear that unless I'm watching the replay.
It does sound a bit like a 5-year-old dance recital. Oh, these young girls are so talented. And he is
exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
And
again, if you're watching the Junior Grand Prix final, you're in it. You are a super fan. You're not really that casual. But I was intrigued that they had Chris commentating for the seniors. I mean, it's nice to have him, but I was intrigued that they decided to do that at all.
Would you prefer Johnny and Tara? Because I wouldn't. Oh, right.
No, sure wouldn't. But they've just not had anybody, which has been fine.
I would love to hear, Ashley Wagner with Chris or something. That would be next.
Amazing. Okay, yeah.
That, to me, would be so interesting. I think Ashley, give her some, or Sasha Cohen. I want to hear her comments on the Grand Prix final.
Amazing. She'd be like, who is this? Wow, they do that now?
Wow, they don't know how to do a spiral. Oh my God.
Yeah, and she'd be right. She'd be right. But
Oh my goodness. You got to watch her 99 violin concerto. First of all, how she takes center ice, the way that she
you can
does.
see it from the beginning. It was always destined to be for her. Yeah.
Oh my God, it's so fabulous and such a hot mess, and it's the best. Okay. I believe that Jenny was robbed at that event. Even though Jenny Kirk has always had this complex that she thinks that I would hate her skating. And I'm like, no, I think you were robbed.
She was a beautiful skater. Yeah.
I mean, we would work on your crossovers, but I think that, like, yeah, I think she deserved to
She wasn't Sasha, but yeah, she had some great
Well, her mom
moments,
told her that
obviously.
too. So anyway, moving on.
Yeah.
We're going to discuss Ice Wars 1 and See Alive. So if you're around, Jonathan, you'll have to make a guest appearance on Wednesday. We're going to
That's right. That's right.
Ice Wars with Oksana in that rose.
I used to love that stuff. It's terrible. Okay.
Terrible. Fantastic. Okay. Well, what are you
Yeah.
doing?
Okay. Camp. Yeah.
Jonathan, please. Okay. Anyway, let's discuss the senior ladies final. So,
Incredible.
incredible. The competition's incredible. And people were concerned, why is Trusova trying the triple axel now? Well, jumps are all she has. And she stopped working on her spins, which you can tell. But I think that the competition is advancing so quickly, where 6 months ago, two triple axels in a program was state of the art. Now that's like old news. If she doesn't do the triple axel now, then someone's like, well,
She's too far behind in that short. Yeah.
and if she doesn't get the experience putting it out in competition, because it's not her strong element, as you can tell, it's a bit like her quad sow.
It seemed too new, in my opinion. But
It is, but if she doesn't get it now, she only has Russian nationals and Europeans to test it out under big pressure before the Worlds, which I believe is her ultimate goal. And let's be honest, her coaching staff knows this, and they also know it doesn't matter to them if she wins or loses. This is not Frank trying to strategize for Michelle to individually win. It literally does not matter to Eteri if Alyona wins, if Anna wins, if Sasha wins. They're going to sweep.
Right.
And that's what she's ensuring. By having Trusova put out the triple axel now, they are upping the technical content so far that no one can compete with Sambo 70, so it doesn't matter to her who wins. I know that seems rude to people. It's not. She is moving them. So
because in a way,
she's
for
helping
her, the
them.
Grand Prix final is a safe event for her to try things out, which is also crazy. But given
It's
the
crazy,
content,
but the
it
competition,
was like, oh, it's a testing ground. Yeah.
for them, they tested out Anna's new element. They have moved the bar and raised it to the point where Rika is old news.
I can't possibly keep up, even with that quad attempt. And I did go back to try to see. I know that she was doing the quad Salchow in the practices. I went back to
On
see if
Insta
she had
skating, she nailed it, Jonathan. Okay.
I know, but I didn't see it on the warm-up. Now, obviously, they're not following every skater all the time on the warm-up, so it's hard to tell. But I was unaware of how she warmed it up before the competition. That would have been intriguing.
Yeah. And you think, Tuk Dmitri, that warm-up is also tense. You're also dealing with nerves, and that's when your competition adrenaline really starts to kick in. And Tuk Dmitri nailed the quad toe in the 6-minute warm-up. Interesting.
Another gorgeous one, but didn't include it in her.
But I bet we'll see it at the Nationals. See, everyone is trying this stuff now because they know what's to come is more important. Russian Nationals is more important than the Grand Prix final politically in Russia. But this is a testing ground.
It was for Elizaveta last year because Elizaveta
So Daniel,
medaled.
while Daniel Lee is being like, he's the college admissions person and he's all about ranking and who is supremacy. It's like, yes, but really they have to be top 3 at Russian Nationals. That's what they known. So for her, they're moving the bar, they're getting it forward, they're making sure Trusova's not so far behind before Russian Nationals. That's not the time to try the triple axel. They need to make sure that her 3 get to Worlds, beat Tuktamisheva, beat Medvedeva. That's what they're needing to do. They need to. Do you know how hard it is for a coach to sweep politically within a country and get all 3 athletes changed? There's enough factions in Russia that probably secretly hate her, even though they can't talk about it openly because she is very powerful.
I think even that killer quad toe, I don't think Elizaveta has a chance, and it's too bad.
She would
I
need
think
2.
even with the quad, it's not enough. Yeah.
She needs 2. She needs a triple.
She would need 2 triple axles and 2 quads.
Yeah, and a quad toe, triple toe. I mean, really. I mean, that's kind of.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see because we've seen, Shcherbakova do quad lutz triple loop, or we see like a quad lutz triple loop triple toe. I mean, I think we're going to start to see these kinds of combinations because.
And the quad flip for Shcherbakova was pretty close. Like, I do see that coming.
Well, she's got that ugly Kostornaia flip, bam! But it doesn't seem to affect Kostornaia's triple.
Let's talk about that. Here, it's kind of that, like, bent leg flopped down into the picking.
That hurts the height of the jump, and it doesn't seem to impact. Kostornaia seems like such an athlete, but she's got that and a leg wrap. Like, those to me are the elements of her skating that don't seem to be improving. And that flip entrance, that bam hammer, is like,
yeah,
it's not as bad as Caroline Zhang, or an Andrea Gardner, like mule kick, but it's severe. And Shcherbakova really looks like a hammer going in, and it actually makes that jump look a little squirrely. Apparently, I think she's afraid of the quad toe, plus it's not as many points to do that, and that's where she got injured on. But we'll have to see because they're obviously going to improve with Shcherbakova. I wonder if we'll see the triple axel from her. That's something that I could see her doing. She's got a great double axel. But all of these ladies are going to be upping their game within the next. And that shot of the three of them at sitting together was so unique. And they looked, honestly, you see the movie Three Identical Strangers? That's what they looked like from afar. They were all about the same height, similar hairstyle, similar coloring. I mean, on one hand, they look like interchangeable parts. And it just looked like you could just replace one with Daria and the three would look exactly, the picture would look the same. Or you could replace them with Kamila Valieva. Right. They all have like that brownish hair.
Right, totally. They're all this diminutive size, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I have to say, Trusova doing the triple axel, she obviously had problems. I think that she'll get it. I don't think it's ever going to be her strongest element. The quad sow continues to give her problems, but her quad flip was so outrageous. What if she does two, and they don't seem, will they give her the edge call? I don't know. But it does seem like I could see her doing 2 quad lutzes and 2 quad flips at Worlds. I mean, that's insane.
Well, yeah, it's interesting that they seem more intent on her collecting one of each quad versus repeating and maximizing points.
Well, I think it's so hard to do. Are you going to get the quad lut? But I think they're going to maximize that program as much as they can, right? They're going to try to get as many repetitions, as many quads in there. She may do like a 6 quad program. I think she's someone who may theoretically go and do that. Or with a triple, I mean, it's going to be insane, I think, what she brings to the Worlds.
Right.
I think, but you look at her basic skating and you could see that the jumps have been worked with above all else. I mean, when she does a crossover, they're like worse than Adam Rapon. So 2 parts of a crossover, the crossover and the cross under. They're 2 pushes, right? And she doesn't do the second push. So it's like a basic skating skill that is completely lost with her. I think the music is what it is. Her performance is what it is. I mean, I would have her below 7 in skating skills in some of these performance executions.
But I mean, I think that the judges are using this opportunity to still say, yes, we acknowledge what you're doing.
But they're not as hard on her as they could.
Since you're giving us the choice, yeah, they're not, but the ranking still lines up.
It did.
Do you know what I mean? And it
worked out.
It did here. I thought the judging was very much correct here, and that it still proved that the judges ideally are hoping for someone that really is more balanced.
Now, Rika, I think that this program has moments where she's performing. You still see the in and out. And is that not the most hideous dress? I mean, it honestly looks like a grandmother's living room from the grandmother's living room from the 70s. Honestly, it looks like Edith Bunker took the drapes off the wall and put it on Rika. That is the grossest pea soup green dress. It would be hard to find something like this. Is a girl that has a great figure, like for skating, and what are they
beautiful
doing?
Yeah, exactly.
How could you screw that up more? I don't know. It's like the packaging of Brady Tennell. It boggles the mind. Okay, that dress was also ill-fitting and just wrong and too long, and the skirt.
The new white.
Oh my God. Okay, and they still haven't changed the hair. Talk about people being stubborn, and my God, it's just
out of place. Yeah,
out of place-ish. Like,
that's what we'll say. Yeah, agreed. I mean, it was sad. It was sad, like how quickly Rika has, in a way, become technically irrelevant.
Completely irrelevant.
Yeah.
And what
It's just
she'll
not
need to get
consistent
that
enough
quad
without
toe.
the Lutzes. Yeah, without the quad sow, you know.
And I think she'll need to put the quad toe in as well. But I don't know if they have enough time to catch up. I think with her, what she has to hope is that she can get these elements and that the girls above her don't last.
Right.
But then will she last with injuries? You don't know.
Right.
So,
right.
And she needs to keep working.
Yeah, this was tough to watch because I like her, but this was a really tough outing.
She needs to play the long game and hope that Shcherbakova like grows 2 inches before Worlds or something, right? And,
which is possible. It's possible for all of them. Yeah.
Kostornaia, I do think the program is beautiful. I have to say that though she has fun, I do think that the modern section of her free skate, you know, I think that cuts off the beauty of her skating. I mean, it's just a classical
that she has in spades. Like, that's what you got to optimize. That's what makes her so much more special than so many of the others.
And I get that she's a kid and she may love it, but that's why you have an experienced professional telling the kid, save it for the exhibition, right?
Right.
Because with just a classical, beautiful program, I think it would be like, right? Like she could fix it.
Well, which they did for Shcherbakova. Do you know what I mean? Her doing Firebird.
But do you notice that the dress change gets more and more, like, we've seen it. It's less effective each time.
Well, and I was trying to think if I've just become too used to it, but I think even she feels less special about it.
And the execution becomes
not quite
off.
falling. Yeah, it's not quite falling in the same magical way that
Yeah.
it did earlier in the season. I agree.
It's gimmicks, and gimmicks have a short shelf
Have a
life.
shelf life. Yeah.
Especially when we also see Trusova do it. So, I mean, yeah.
Well, that was like, oh my God. Yeah.
Now, Anna doing the quad flip, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how it works at nationals.
It's
seems
close.
squirrely.
It looks pretty close to me. No, you felt it was more squirrely? I feel like I see it happening this season.
I don't think it'll ever be as strong as her Lutz, and that one has technical things to it, as you can look on a video that I produced. But and it's interesting that the Russian ladies, so they do this, right? So Emily was saying that at her, she takes from Russian coaches now, and what they're trying to do with their left side is that they tell you to think about this as cutting the cheese, and this is opening the refrigerator. And you do it at the same time.
Okay.
And when you see Terry's girls with the bands, they're constantly practicing this motion that they do with all of their jumps. And that is getting them into that backspin position.
And that's what they all do as they get into position before the program starts.
Yes.
It's that exact motion, yeah. And then they beat the sides of the legs, yeah.
They really have figured out the aerodynamics of that with the certain size girl, that is what gets you. But it doesn't work the legs. And what we see with Zagitova is that there's a shelf life to this. And as we've talked about all season, this is coming to its end. And apparently Terry was starting to talk about it here to people, that they're going to decide what to do. So the retirement talk is alive and real. And
well, because Chris mentioned it only about 100 times on the broadcast, that he was unsure as if she was even going to compete once she arrived.
Really?
Yeah. That's what he was saying on the commentary, that the buzz around the entire competition was that she may withdraw, depending on how the practices went. But that the practices went okay enough.
And then they said that she's been struggling, and I think the party line is she's struggling with motivation. Well, if you can't rotate your jumps anymore, how motivated are you going to be? You're going to have panic attacks.
If you know, even if you can, the best you can do is fourth or third. You know what I mean?
And she had a moment in the short, and Terry knew it when Terry was sitting there with that fabulous manicure. Although someone didn't like that I posted that video and wrote me a long message saying, F you, and you need class like Jonathan. And I was like, literally, we've been following this narrative all season with Terry. It is not about Alina at all. It is just about the reality of this situation. Yeah. Anyway, she was a gem. Anyway, so Terry, I mean, her face said she can't even emote that much in her eyes.
And when but I could tell.
It didn't look cruel. She looked like she felt sad for her, but it's over.
And to me, the real story was told on Terry's face after the short by how moved she was. And that told me so much. That fact that she was moved means she definitely did not expect it, and she knows that
it's getting to the point where it's like when people call Gracie Gold brave. Like, you're either called great or brave. right?
It's a joke we have in opera. Like
It's the
if
Amy when
anyone
Amy
ever-
Schumer posted nude and everyone called her brave. No one was calling her
brave.
hot.
It's the
you know?
worst thing you could say. Yeah, exactly.
So it's getting to be like that, and I do think the shows in this. I mean, this told the tale. I mean, it's
Yeah.
literally the Atari video I did the other week. It was like, here it is. You can see it.
Right.
Like,
Ding, time's up. Yeah. And it's
Ding.
amazing because I think she has probably surpassed the timeline more than most others could have.
17.
And that's something to be told about it. Like the fact that the short program happened is remarkable.
And then
But
what
it
will
doesn't
happen?
change the fact
What will
that,
happen to these 3 girls in 2 years?
right, they'll be in the same position potentially.
But is that going to happen to them during the Olympic season?
Might.
And is that how Valyeva and Usashova and whoever else they have come up and make it to the Olympics? Who's it going to happen?
If they make it within those 2 years.
It's just fascinating. But there will be other girls.
Yeah.
So
Rolf has often talked about, like, he knows who's going to hit what age at what Olympics. You know what I mean?
Of course you do. You're not.
Yeah, so you know who's going to be in the prime at the right time.
I mean, it's just interesting that they literally are like chess pieces that are just being.
Interchangeable in a way.
Although I think that Kostornaia has the ability to be non-interchangeable, but it'll be.
She has the most sustainable
But
quality.
I honestly don't. I think it's to a point where I don't know that you can leave Atari and survive. I don't think that you could leave that kind of competition and then be motivated enough to even make it. Are you going to be
If that's the only way you know how to train, yeah.
But are you ever going to work that hard to get the kind of technical content that's being rewarded to? I don't think it's possible. I don't even think you could go to Raphael and be pushed enough in the ladies to compete with that. I mean, I think he would have to spend his entire day with you just to, and he has Nathan, and he has this one, and he has that one. Like, I just think that that environment is so unique that it's going to keep pushing this. But I also think that we're going to see. I mean, they said that Zagitova pulled out of the exhibition today, and it's unclear, does she have injuries? Of course she has existing injuries. All skaters do, and all skaters from that camp do. Is she too upset? Did she have a nervous breakdown? Did she have this? Did she have that? I mean, is she, what's going on? Well, I think you're seeing the natural end to this. And and it's almost like you become numb to it. You're like, well, it's another one. And I think that there are fans that still see her as an individual who fell in love with the sport during the Olympics and they're heartbroken, right? But they don't see this as part of a bigger narrative.
Picture. The cycle has
But
been
think
going
about
on
it.
for...
Think about it. She is last at the final here. The girl who left the camp, who's maybe a year older ahead, didn't even make the final, right? So it's just like the life cycle of this. And I think it's going to be hard to promote the sport when every season there's a new wonder kid and the rest, and it's just going to be like, I mean, Carlo Fassi was right about what would happen to the sport. And it's just...
I was thinking about that because I remember La had said something once when she was like, when she texted me during Skate America, she was like, I don't know this sport.
Yeah.
Or she was like, some of these girls are competing in a sport I don't know and I actually don't like.
I mean, there are elements of it that I still love and there are elements that I don't, right? Like it's becoming...
It's become a different sport. And in some ways that's great. And in some ways it's like, well... it's like those friends you've been friends with for so long. And you're like, God, if I met you right now, would I be your friend? Or are we just friends because we've been friends for so long? And some of these skating things, I was like, gosh, even bless his heart, even with someone as physically talented as Nathan, like if I were to show my non-skating friends a killer program of Nathan's, I don't think it would draw them in and they'd be like, holy cow.
I think the end draws you in and what he's doing. But it's not the same sport. And that's...
It's not like if you watch something from earlier that had less content but gripped you in a different way.
But I do think that Hanyu and Nathan are appealing. It's just a different thing. But I think they're appealing. I don't think the other men that were mopping up the ice or the pairs were appealing at all. I think that was something else.
Agreed.
Also,
Agreed.
I think we skipped over this, but Sui and Han, how interesting that she is now rock solid on everything and he's being the mess.
He had a total, there were several moves, steps even, not just the jumps, and even some squirrely lift entrances. And I was like, what's up with him? Something must have just really tripped him.
Queen Sui, okay, with the fabulous hair, all right?
It was so good, and I do love that free skate especially. But
But why were there blues and aquas not matching? What is going on there? That was gross. I
you
don't.
know what it reminded me of though, because I wondered if you were going to say that. It reminded me of sometimes when the pairs get too matchy matchy. It reminds me of like a furniture sale where it's like you buy the whole living room set, like 5 pieces. And it's like, well, you don't want it to be so matchy matchy. So I'm into like different hues. It doesn't have to be an exact match, but this does seem a
They were in different
nonsensical
color
pairing.
families. I don't know what was happening.
Yeah,
Did he forget
yeah.
his costume and like borrow one from someone else?
Amazing. Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. And Peng and Jin, they are the little engine that could. They continue to
Yeah.
be the little engine that could.
Even
So,
with the planned side by side doubles. I mean, they have really benefited from weak fields here.
and maximizing every point and playing the system. So,
Yeah, it's true. I mean, the programs are good. The programs are good. But yeah, the Paris was the weak event here because, again, like this could have been an Olympic ladies final. These 6 women, like, even Zagitova's implosion was still primarily one of under rotations, not of like horrible pops and splats. So all in all, men dance I found really fulfilling here, and the ladies, it was just like constant depth and quality throughout this competition. It's a Grand Prix final like I haven't seen in a while, except
Now,
for the pairs, which just kind of became a dud moment.
what about Brady? How about Brady and Alyssa Liu and Mariah Bell going into nationals? If Brady gets a glow up, would you consider giving her the title over Alyssa, seeing that Alyssa is not the dominant force in world skating yet? She's a talent
Well,
that's up and coming, but do you want to give her the? Do you want to keep this narrative and build her brand, or do you want to give it to Brady and tell Alyssa to start fixing this shit now so that we don't have this problem
but don't
anymore?
you think, I mean, I don't think Alyssa is intentionally not. It's not like a Max Aaron situation where you almost felt like there was a resistance to that
No, but it's what do
criticism.
you focus on? Do you focus on the quads
Yeah.
or do you focus on the rest? Because you need to focus on both, but you need to
And
focus
do
on
you
both.
think her placement would really change her focus?
Yeah.
You
I'm
think it would do
sorry.
more than
You
they're
think her
currently doing?
dad, do you think Arthur Liu appreciated losing to a Terry? I don't think
Right.
Arthur Liu appreciated losing to a Terry.
No. I
Uh,
mean, the interesting
how do you
thing is
think Danny
Brady.
Kwan took 1997, Jonathan? I don't think well, okay? How do you think Nathan's mom would take his Olympics? I don't think well. So
But I mean, is it? But would they change something? Is what I'm.
yes,
I mean, I believe
yes.
they do. I believe Alyssa's probably doing as much as she can in the meantime.
I think you recalibrate. I think you get a coach in
Yeah.
there. I
Okay.
think you realize that maybe we need more than just FaceTime to help these jumps. I mean, I know they're going to work with
Right.
Carolina in person, but I mean, you need something really in there. And I think what happens with Hanyu and Brian? Because if Brian Orser needs a top student, there's a girl who could benefit from a Tracy Wilson Edge class on the regular. And
100%. Lori's right there, who she's been working with anyway. But
what happens with Hanyu, I think could happen with Alyssa Liu. Look,
mm,
because all of a sudden I would be like, well, if Genya's not panning out, I have time with another student in the mix. So that might be something that they consider anyway. And maybe,
the thing that the thing that's happening right now, though, with Brady here is
listen, should
again,
Brian
there's.
spend his time on Jason Brown or should he spend his time on Alyssa Liu?
But I don't think Jason. I don't think he is spending any time on Jason Brown.
Well, he could, theoretically,
I mean, I know he attempted the quad in Zagreb, which was an under-rotated fall, downgraded to a triple,
as
but
always.
as always. But I don't even know that he takes up any of Brian's time.
Um, what do you think? What were you going to say about Brady? Sorry, I was just.
Oh, well, the thing about Brady is I'm trying to think like her thing was she was so clean and consistent, but recently she was just a bit of tight here, and I'm not used to so many under rotations or iffy landings from her. So that was a little bit. I think that could really change a lot of stuff because Mariah seems to this season be having less issues with rotation.
Listen, Mariah looks like she could
So
be in a
that could make the
pageant.
difference.
They would love to make
Yeah.
Mariah Bell national champion. She looks like she could be in a pageant. You could put her in a commercial. She's very, right? And Alyssa Liu has that charm, whereas Brady's harder to sell. So if I'm the
Yeah.
judges and I'm Raphael, I'll be pushing for Mariah. I'm sure people are on the Alyssa Liu train. You can't stop it. I think they have this. But if you want to set them up for getting three
3 spots.
spots. You know, and is Ting even skating? I mean, does the U.S. even need 3 spots? And they keep sending Star
Right.
Andrews out, who's competing at a junior level. Like, listen, I mean,
Yeah.
we'll dissect Zagreb next week, but there's clearly a lot to break down.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting. Again, talking about all these Russian women, and we're thinking about all the amazing Russian women that weren't even here. And then we're like, gosh, who would our third be? Hannah? You know what I mean? It doesn't really seem worth the effort.
Well, a lot to change in the coming weeks. So we want to remind you, as always, to get on your Madison Hubbell.
Bring props and costume changes onto your warm-up announcement.
Hold an edge and look sexy. Bye, guys.